Hey guys, welcome back to DASKA Discusses. Well, geek, as you can see, there is no Fortnite happening. No, don't double check everything. I'm actually doing some movie reviews for once. It's been a long time coming, but you know what? The channel, I had it for a couple of, 2.5 years now, and what can I say? You know, a lot of reviews, a lot of top 10s and all that, this and that, and then I managed to get a capture card, and I'm like, you know what, let's do some gaming. But we're here now to do what I used to do, which is like old school movie reviews with no spoilers, so let's get into it. Now, what I'm going to be discussing today is The Unholy and Spiral from the Book of Saw. So, let's do this, shall we? First thing we're going to do is just change all this around. There we go, hang on one sec. Alright, now what I've done here is I have put myself here, there we go, and boom. Alright, so again, jump on the chat, don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. If I'm too loud, the mic's too loud, let me know. But we're here to discuss The Unholy, okay? So what is The Unholy about? Well, looking at IMDb, how do I put this? I'm a big horror film fan, right? And the problem is that you always get kind of excited when you see something that, you know, you think could be good. You know, you think, all right, maybe this could be something different. You know, it could be like, basically, I've just realized that a lot of horror films these days are pretty much cut and paste. Okay, so let me just double check that my feed is all working, because I can't see if it's all good. Hang on one sec. My channel, please make sure you... Okay, so The Unholy. It's all working. Okay, good. So, a hearing-impaired girl is visited by the Virgin Mary and can suddenly hear, speak, and heal the sick. As people flock to witness her miracles, terrifying events unfold. Are they the work of the Virgin Mary or something else more sinister? Director Evan Spiliotopoulos. Writers, same kind of writers. Now, what's interesting about the stars in this are as follows. Let's have a look. I think you might recognize a couple of these guys. One of them especially, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who is the guy from Walking Dead. He's in it. He plays the main, one of the main characters. And then there's Alice, who her name is Cricket Brown. William Sadler is the guy from Saw, which is interesting, and from Men in Tights. Hilarious guy, right? Then there's a few other like people here that are just, you know, there is the guy from Shawshank Redemption and Die Hard 2. I can't remember his name. I think it's... Anyway, whatever. The thing is about this is that it starts off with this kind of interesting kind of opening sequence. Kind of like reminds me of the Evil Dead remake, where it's kind of like something really creepy happens in this kind of like field, and we don't know what it is. But then as the movie goes on, this deaf girl that we meet, she's basically given some sort of powers where, well, one, she begins to speak and hear, and she starts healing the sick, right? And it basically comes to it that this investigative journalist guy, who's the guy from Walking Dead, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, he's like, look, I'm going to look into this. And they do look into it, and they find out that, you know, these miracles are amazing and all this stuff that's happening. So the thing is, you know that it's a horror film, okay? You know what's coming. You know that there's going to be some sort of sinister kind of plot that happens. Now, as it keeps going, you know, she gets all these miracles happening, and as the movie goes on, no spoilers, but, you know, this Virgin Mary statue is giving her these powers to heal. And like, there's a disabled kid who can't walk, who starts walking. There's other people as well, and it's like all over the news, becomes a viral thing. The first half of the film really works well like that, building it all up and thinking, where are we going to go to from here? Because, you know, other movies with supernatural stuff, usually with demons or possession or whatever, they go pretty much the same kind of way, which is just, you know, bad haunted house or haunted something comes in, they call in a priest, exorcism, blah, 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 same kind of stuff. But this does do a few little different things, but the problem we've got in it is that the second half of the film is a cliched mess. Now, what I mean by that, I would play the trailer, but I'm talking like, you can just look at the poster itself. You've got the Virgin Mary there, then you've got an evil version there. So by just looking at the poster itself, you know that obviously something bad is going to happen, okay? So, please let me know if the buffering's okay, guys, whatever. But anyway, so the second half of the film, it is a cliched kind of mess in terms of a horror film, in terms of just, well, people start, she's in the first half, she's doing all these miracles, and then in the second half of the film, you can pretty much guess what happens. It's the opposite and the more sinister kind of version of what she could do, right? And the main guy has to investigate this, and he's the one that's always pointing the finger saying, this is fake, this is fake. You got a few priests, one of them who doesn't believe what's going on, the other one who does, who says, you should have faith, sir. It borrows so many lines from other horror films and other just, spiritual horror films. And the problem is that the CG and the effects in this film really do spoil it, because it's just like, especially when, I'll just make myself bigger, hang on, there we go. When something scary happens, or like there's this big suspenseful kind of scene that leads you to something, someone's walking in a room in the dark or whatever, or finding something that's really integral to the story, then all of a sudden it's spoiled by some CG ridiculous kind of figure with like the cliche thing, the blackened eyes, or the really dark eyes with the white pupils with the blood coming down and the shroud and everything. I'm like, and then it just jumps at the screen. I'm like, are you actually kidding me? So the second half of the film is a bit of a mess. Now, I've explained why. Well, it's this. The Unholy, I don't know how much money it's made. I don't know how it's gone, but let me tell you this. I saw the trailer and I thought this could be good, but they didn't leave. Well, they actually did leave out a few chunks of the film out of the trailer, which is good, but this is what I'm talking about. Like this kind of picture here. This CG stuff of the evil Unholy is just way like, it looks creepy, I guess, but it's just, one, it's over the top. Two, it is like borrowing so many things from other films. Three, it's like, can we get any more original rather than like, demonic possession and all this kind of stuff. I know they're trying to change it around with like being in the Virgin Mary, but there's only a few good glimpses of like some aspects of the film, and it comes in the first half of the film, this, where she can speak, she can hear, she does all these, and this whole like cultist type of following that she gets. That was interesting, but apart from that, the whole twist in the end, the whole part of like why she became like that and how she became like that is just way over the top and really overdone. Now, the main actress, I'll give it to her. Her name's Cricket Brown. She does an okay job in the role. The script itself was not weak, but just, again, full of cliched lines. The whole film itself is a run-of-the-mill normal horror film that you'd find on Netflix. I don't know how. I just don't understand, when they had the script briefing and all this, did they not realize that the second half of the film is just literally garbage? Sorry to say that, but it's a live event, guys. This is a live discussion. If you're there watching, please comment. Let me know what you thought if you saw The Unholy. Rated PG-13 in America, rated M here. Now, in terms of a rating, again, just to reiterate everything, in this double feature review for The Unholy, watched it thinking this is going to be something different. It is for the first half, and then totally loses it at the end. So they've given it an IMDb rating here of 5 out of 10. Let's quickly look at the Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes on The Unholy. Let's have a look what they've given it. Okay. The Unholy, yeah, that's not what I wanted. Anyway, it doesn't matter, whatever. So, moving on from that. Rarely scary and often dull. Unholy backs, yeah, blah, 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 blah. Average score 36 out of 100. Wow. Well, looking at my review and my rating for The Unholy, I guess I'm going to have to put it at not even a pass. No way. I'm going to say 4 out of 10. Why do I give it 4? Here's my explanation. 2 points for maybe the first half of the film, right? And how that works out. That was really good how they built that up. And the other 2 points for The two main characters actually did a not bad job with the acting, but 4 is all it deserves. It is a heavy pass from me, or if you really want to see it, if you're a big horror fan, then wait till it comes out on a streaming service or something like that. But yeah, or there you go, you can rent and buy it from Prime Video. There you go. But for me, it is just doesn't work for me. So a 4 for The Unholy. Disappointing. Now, let's look at Spiral. Dun 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 dun. Wow, Spiral. I tell you what, director Darren Lynn Boozman, writers Josh Stolberg, Peter Goldfinger, stars Chris Rock, Samuel Jackson, Max Minghella, and I'm pretty sure it's produced by Chris Rock as well, because he actually was involved in this. What do you say about the Saw series, looking at all of it? Now, I remember watching Saw Part 1 in the cinemas back in 2000 and whatever it was, a long time ago, and I was a huge fan. They got me hooked on that, right? Saw 1 was fantastic. Lee Winnell, James Wan did a fantastic job for 2 Melbourne guys to go out there and direct something like that. It was phenomenal, okay? Now, people look back and go, oh yeah, big deal, the twist ending. Well, you know what? At the time, and this is something I teach about reception context, it was a mixture of like a lot of horror films, but also like cop films, where Saw was something awesome with the traps and everything, and the twist ending. No spoilers if you haven't seen it, but it's like over 20 years old now, so yeah. No, is it? Maybe it's just under 20. Anyway, so Saw was fantastic. Saw 2, not bad. Saw 3, I didn't mind that one. 4, 5, bleh. And then the rest, I can't even remember. 6, and then Jigsaw, and then the last one, and this one, and this one, whatever. But not really my thing in terms of past part 4. But anyway, Spiral from the Book of Saw, that's the original title. How does it all lead in? Well, look, I thought this would be a great way to reboot the whole series, to start fresh. And it's basically this: a criminal mastermind unleashes a twisted form of justice in Spiral, the terrifying new chapter from the Book of Saw. If we get into the synopsis of it: working in the shadow of his father, an esteemed police veteran, Samuel Jackson, brash detective Zeke Banks, and his rookie partner, Max Minghella. That's the guy from... Ryder, how are you, mate? How's everything going on the Fortnite battlegrounds or the map? I'll jump onto Fortnite probably later, who knows. The guy from Handmaid's Tale, the driver guy, he's actually a pretty good actor in this. We'll get to it. Take charge of a grisly investigation to murders that are eerily reminiscent of the city's gruesome past. Unwittingly entrapped in a deepening mystery, Zeke finds himself in the center of a killer's morbid game. Ryder, let me know if you've seen Spiral, the Book of Saw. Now, again, I really like the old Saw films, I said that, and I do like a good cop thriller, and the ones that come to mind are things like Zodiac, Seven, trying to think of some other ones, Silence of the Lambs, even Hannibal, those Red Dragon. I'm not putting Spiral in that category in terms of it's up there with them. It is not, because again, what happens in this film is that it starts off really good, like the first probably half of the film. I think Chris Rock does a really good job as this serious kind of role that he plays as a detective. There is some really good one-liners and some good speeches in it about normal kind of conversations about Forrest Gump, which again, it's reminiscent of like a Tarantino film where they just talk about random things in pop culture, I guess. Again, it's not spoiling anything, but Chris Rock really does deliver some funny lines. That was really good. But the thing is, they didn't keep that up throughout the whole film. They kind of left that at the door, which was a shame because he plays such an intense character later, from the middle of the middle of the film. I get it, but that light humor actually did work well. Samuel Jackson plays his father, plays an okay role, the cop who was, a big, prestigious police officer who, as you're watching the film, you're thinking, okay, whoever's doing these murders, it could be him, maybe, the fingers are pointed at him. Now, I'm not spoiling anything, but the whole film is based upon someone killing people and trying to get justice in a way, right, for things that people have done, kind of like in Saw. But I find that some of these traps just, for me, don't really make sense, and that the people that are getting killed, their crimes that they did for justice, I think at times don't really add up well. But anyway, as the movie goes on, I was very surprised by the violence and the gore. Now you're probably thinking, well, DASKA, it's a Saw film. Yeah, I was expecting that, but it was a bit full on. Like, I thought that maybe, they'd make this Spiral film and make it possibly the audience for people that, can't really, how do I put this? Maybe they're put off by so much gore. I thought that maybe, that would make it less gory, but then people would complain that, it wasn't like a proper Saw film. So I can see why. She plays a good role. Marisol Nichols, she plays an okay role. Yeah, some pretty gross things in there. Some good practical effects in terms of like the traps and how it's done. It looks really good. Well, some really scary imagery here, but whatever. As the movie goes on, some intense scenes, some intense traps, and again, the whole throwback to the old films is really cool as well. How they kind of don't go over the top with mentioning the old films, but there is some mention of the old Jigsaw Killer, which is pretty cool. Is it enough to save the film? No, because it all builds up to this guessing game of who's done what in this film, right? So you're thinking, all right, you're trying to guess who's done what, and you get to the part of the film, the last act of the film, where the stakes are high, and you're thinking, okay, cool, here we go. It's going to be something quite epic, right? The problem we have is, again, it's very difficult to discuss and not give out spoilers, is that it's not that it's a cliche kind of, it's a Saw film, so, the soundtrack is awesome, the editing is awesome, that they didn't really go too much on that whiz-bang editing that from Saw 2, 3, 4, 5 had, they kind of like slowed it down a bit, but the gore is there if you're a fan of gore, I guess. The traps are pretty interesting, but the overall motivation of this new killer was a bit blah for me. That's all I can say. And then when you're pushing a film to this last sequence, like you've got the audience hopefully on their edge of their seats thinking, okay, cool, what's going to happen here? What's this big ending? Give it to me, come on. And you're kind of served up you've served up by the director and everyone who the person in charge of all this is, in this kind of like very blunt way. It's kind of like, hey, can't really say much, but put it this way. All right, spoilers here for The Sixth Sense. Imagine in The Sixth Sense, if you haven't seen it, then block your ears, but imagine in The Sixth Sense, right at the end when, Bruce Willis is standing there and his wife is on the couch, whatever, and then she drops her ring and it kind of like falls down and he looks at his hand and his ring is not in his hand anymore. And at that point we realize, ba-boom, and then it's all the flashbacks and stuff like that. That was one way to really like take your audience and give them the biggest shock of a lifetime, I think, in The Sixth Sense, right? Or Usual Suspects. 7, not so much these days, but I get it. In this, it's done in a way that doesn't really surprise you. There's no like, oh wow, you're kidding. It's kind of like it's told to you and you're shown certain things and you're like, really? Is that it? Now maybe I'm wrong. If you've seen it, let me know. But I just kind of thought, okay, cool. And there's one like big crescendo in the film. It's like, this is the reveal of the killer. And then it's like the reveal of the last trap. And here we go, the last scene of the film. And it's like all this building up. And Chris Rock plays a really good role. I must say, I really commend his acting efforts in this. It's really good to see from him and Samuel L. Jackson, even that guy, Mangala, whatever, Max Mangala, yeah. There's some really good scenes, but then to be given a double blow, bang bang at the end of like two big things that have happened. One is the reveal of the killer, and two is like this final trap and what that involves. and then you see it unfolding, and when it happens, it's like, boom, shut the gate, shut the door, end of the movie. The credits came up, and I was like, is that it? I'm like, no. I actually said, come on. I actually said that to myself. I went, come on. Really? Really? For the Book of Saw, Spiral, Saw film, we get that. We're dished up that. And it just completely took me out of it. And I'm not saying I was taken out of the film, but for the first half of the film, I was really into it. It did have some glimpses of like Seven, Silence of the Lambs, even Usual Suspects in a way. Seven and Silence of the Lambs, probably, yeah, like that. But then it's just given the way you're given information. It's not like the older Saw films. At least the twist was like a bit interesting. This was just like, meh, here you go. And this is the grand finale. The grand finale stunk, right? It was like, It was as if the disgusting kind of trap in Saw 3, all the guts and pig's guts thing, that was really gross, that one, were like all over the screen. I'm like, this really stinks. So I'm sorry, Chris Rock, big fan of you, but I'm sorry, Darren Lynn Boozman, Stolberg and Goldfinger, good on them. But first half of the film, good. Second half, the way it's very difficult for me to not get into in terms of spoilers, but this is what I'm going to say, guys. Now, ratings. We'll put it this way. Should you go watch this? Watch this if you're a big, big fan of the Saw films, right? Number one. Okay, and you want to see what they've dished up, obviously. If you can't remember the Saw films, or you only remember part 1 and 2, then you probably think, this is just like... No, put it this way. If you're not a huge fan of the Saw films, but you've seen all of them, you remember vaguely what happens, watch it. If you're that person who's like seen them ages ago, you can't remember what happens, then if you watch it, be warned, you're just going to be like, this is the same garbage as it is all the time. I think this is built towards the Saw fans. However, even the fans might be disappointed by this, which I was, because I'm a Saw fan. I'm a big horror film fan. So, rating, IMDb have given it a 5.3 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes... Let's have a brief gander what they say. Ryder, have you seen, if you're there, have you seen Spiral, the Book of Saw? Let me know what you thought. Rotten Tomatoes. Alright, so looking at the Rotten Tomatoes ranking, I'll just bring it up on screen so you guys can see it. One sec. I like these live reviews, to be honest. I'm a big fan of them, but if you're not, well, what can I tell you? I just think it's easier in terms of editing and stuff. Don't have to do anything. Just discuss with your fans who, whatever. All right, so Spiral, wow, the tomato meter 75% and the audience score 37%. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good score. That's like a B+. And the audience score is rubbish. So I am not gearing towards this. No way. Definitely not, unfortunately. But 50 plus ratings are 37%. A 5.3 out of 10 for it from IMDb. I think, and my belief is this, I'm going to give Spiral... It was just the ending. For me to actually say to the screen, come on, are you kidding me? It brings it back. You know, I'm thinking 6.5, but not even. I think it just deserves like a 5.8, 5.9, or even a 6 barely. So, yeah, we'll stick with a 6. A 6 for Spiral for me. That's where it stands. If you're a big fan of the old ones, watch it, but be warned, you probably will be disappointed in a way, but watch it if you're a fan of the old ones. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Let's go back to the first screen here. Whoa, hang on one sec. If you guys use OBS, let me know what you think, because at times it is very annoying. Hang on. Zing. All right, so they are my 2 live double movie reviews, guys. This review obviously will be posted on my channel. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Please like, subscribe, because, well, then you'll support the channel, you'll support me, and etc. But let me know what you thought in the comments. Hope you enjoyed this, guys. So like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys pretty soon. Who knows when? Probably, maybe even streaming. Who knows when? I'll see you then. I'll be posting this whenever it gets processed, etc. It'll be on my Instagram for DASKA Discusses as well, and obviously the YouTube channel. So see you then, guys. Like and subscribe, and